Every once in a while, a game comes around that catches you completely by surprise. You sit down to play it for the first time, not suspecting that you're about to get absorbed completely into a new world that you won't ever want to leave. These are my favorite kinds of games. As a critic, as a player, who usually just goes into any game with very low expectations, it's hard for me to find a game that I genuinely connect with. I mean, even some of my games from my top 10 video from last year struggled to really grab me. That's just the way I am. I'm predisposed to say that everything is fine, meh, solid, but nothing special. Now, I know I'm giving away the rest of the video a bit with this intro, but Monster Sanctuary deserves it. It's a metroidvania monster collecting RPG game with more depth than most AAA games. This game is an absolute must-play, and we're going to talk about why. But before we do, as always, a quick reminder to like the video if you like the video. Makes sense, right? Maybe share the video with a friend so that they can like it also. Alright, let's get back into the review. Monster Sanctuary starts out simple enough. Another Pokemon-looking game. You are part of one of 4 magic houses with bloodlines that keep the Monster Sanctuary safe from the dangerous outside world. You get to pick which house you belong to, which then gives you the familiar monster of that house. It's essentially a starter Pokemon, and you begin your journey. The first difference in the game comes fairly quickly, though. This is a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania game. There's a huge world to explore, but rather than find special items as you go that help you better traverse the world, you capture monsters. Each monster has its own exploration ability that you can use to better traverse the world. Flying monsters will let you glide after jumping, fish ones will let you swim, some destroy walls, move obstacles, open doors. It's such a clever and awesome idea. It does make the game feel like a Metroid Lite, as it's very easy to collect a party of monsters that have all of the exploration abilities. There's only a very small number of unique abilities, and a number of monsters will share the same ability. Even still, the world is a blast to explore, filled with a lot of secret areas and chests. The real meat of this game, however, is the monster collecting and combat. Collection is very streamlined. Every monster encounter has a chance of dropping an egg. You don't have to worry about catching them, just kill them. After you do, you might get an egg. If you do, it hatches the monster. It tells you exactly which one you're going to get. And it'll be about 1 or 2 levels under your current party, which is great. A great quality of life improvement. You don't have to waste time leveling up characters. Now, the game only has a small handful of unique combat abilities, again spread out across all of these monsters. But what really makes Monster Sanctuary stand out is that each monster has an entire, full-on Diablo RPG skill tree that you fill out. The depth of this game is genuinely daunting when you start collecting monsters and trying to put them into a party and figuring out which passive abilities they have that would mesh well with what other monsters you have, what elemental combos they can pull off, whether they promote debuffs, buffs, damage. Putting together a 6-monster team really felt like earning a college degree in and of itself. The game only has 100 or so monsters, but I don't think it needs more. I don't think it could handle more. There's already so many different variations that you can make in team structure. So while you have 6 monster teams, you fight 3 at a time, and in standard encounters, you're actually not free to swap in a new monster, say, when one of yours dies. At certain points in the game, you do encounter what are essentially trainer battles, where you do use your full 6-man party. And I always flip-flopped here. I could never settle on exactly how I should build my team. I would find some cool 3-monster combo setups, and kind of have 2 pairs of 3, and that would make normal combats great because you have a very focused 3-man party. But then you get to the 6 monster combats, and then it's hard to transition because, the next set of 3 also have their own unique synergies and things like that. So picking one out and pulling it in when one of your guys dies was kind of a hurdle, but then at the same time, it didn't feel worth it to make an entire 6 monster party all focused on the same thing, since you're only really ever using 3 in a majority of the gameplay. The game does let you save and load teams, including all the equipments you have on them, all at the click of a button, which is great. I had a number of teams made, and it really saves you a lot of headache and lets you experiment a lot more freely. The combat is fun, engaging, and challenging. Now, while it's easy to make a team that will just roll through normal encounters, if you get to a boss fight or one of these trainer battles, and if you're not paying attention, you really can get overwhelmed. You can even get overwhelmed in some of the later game normal encounters, depending on what kind of monsters you run into. They might just debuff or wipe your party quickly. You do need to stay on top of things in combat in this game. Some of the late game bosses, specifically the last 2, did honestly feel unfair. Their teams just felt like such perfectly oiled machines that I could beat them. I did beat them, but I felt like I needed to almost net deck, if that makes sense, the perfect squad to really stand a solid chance. I do get it. I think the game is trying to make you run a damage, a tank, a healer kind of 3-man build. But I was so much more into this, all in on a specific, stacking debuffs. So I had a whole number of guys that would stack debuffs and things like that. I do understand why my approach was weak, but it worked everywhere else, you know what I mean? So that last bit of ramp in difficulty was a little frustrating, but nothing to really complain about. Really, other than those last 2 encounters, the difficulty in the game felt perfect. It did always feel like I was being tested, and like I was being challenged to find new and better monster combinations. This game really is a triumph. Both sides of its gameplay, the platforming, the monster collecting, are executed to near perfection. And while I was able to complete the story in about 20 hours, I'm sure the people who are die hard into strategizing, theory crafting, you're gonna be able to play this game forever. I think you can get a lot more out of this game at the end, trying to build out these perfect comps. Now, graphically, of course, it's not my style. Musically, it's not my style. It's just simple, repeating little beats. The story's generic and predictable, but you don't care. You just want to keep going. You just want to keep leveling up your monsters because you're trying to get to that next skill in the skill tree because it'll really unlock a new potential for your entire party. So you got to level the guy up one more time. It really does have that one more level kind of feel to it. It's very addicting. It's very engaging. I played the hell out of this game. I beat it in 3 or 4 days. I could not stop playing it. It's addictive, it's engaging, it's deep, and it's a ton of fun. For a final score, I would give the story a 3 out of 5, the gameplay a 5 out of 5, and the presentation a 2 out of 5, for a final ranking of a 4.75 out of 5. For value, just buy the game. Buy it. It's worth it at full price. It does go on sale regularly I got it for $6, something like that. So if you want to wait, you can definitely get it at a good deal. But this game is awesome. If you're even slightly into these types of games, I highly recommend it. I don't know how you wouldn't enjoy it. So let me know in the comments below. Do you enjoy this game? Have you played Monster Hunter? Is it your new favorite Pokemon type game? It very well could be mine. Do let me know in the comments below. What other games should I be playing? What other games will take me by surprise, just like this one did? Let me know. I need to play them. I hate playing boring games. Like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already so you don't miss future videos. Maybe share this video with a friend so that they get to find out about the awesomeness that is Monster Sanctuary. And I will see you in the next video.